Double pod day, and this is the first of them with Team Matchbook. This is our quickfire Friday chat on the Matchbook Horse Racing podcast, where we're looking ahead to Group 1 action on a Friday evening, which is the Group 1 Keeneland Phoenix Stakes. And you can see that I'm joined by Donn McClean and Sam Turner. How are we all?
Very good, Tom. Thanks. Yeah, cracking.
Sheer delight. And the football season's starting, and Sam's got that Wolves top behind him as well. So there's a lot to look forward to. But let's talk Group 1 racing.
We've been playing for 2 weeks.
So you what, sorry?
We've been playing in Europe for 2 weeks.
Didn't you win yesterday?
Yeah, just the 4.
Just the 4.
Yeah, we beat some taxi drivers from Armenia, I think.
Donn, what was your assessment of the Wolverhampton Wanderers' performance yesterday?
Yeah, I thought they'll probably come on for it. You know, this stage of the season, it's early season form, not to be trusted. All of that, fair play. Good
it's like DC on cricket, Donn on Wolves. I love it. There's other pods that can happen.
We should do alternate pods, shouldn't we? DC on cricket and Donn on Wolves.
That
would be a long pod.
The market for it. There is a market for it.
Let's have a look at the racing, because we don't want to be too long on the Friday pod. The 650 at the Curragh is the Keeneland Phoenix Stakes. It's a Group 1 contest. You've got Siskin, Monarch of Egypt. Siskin's a shade of odds on. Monarch of Egypt's Royal Lytham and Mount Fuji and Think Big completes the lineup. Think Big is a big old price. Donn, I know that you are the normally, or you have been, and quite rightly to date, the chief cheerleader of the Siskin fan club. So assess his chances going into this evening and that price as well.
The ground kind of turns things around, Tom. Not that it turns things around. It's just it's an unknown. Like, he's been just so good in everything he's done, from his maiden win at Naas and then winning the Marble Hill, next time beating King Neptune. He was so impressive that day, and then last time as well in the Railway Stakes. He just has a really good attitude. He shows a turn. He just does everything that you want him to do. And listen to Ger Lyons as well afterwards, after all his races. He just seems to love him at home. He's a very uncomplicated horse. He just does what he wants. He says there's no training on him. He said he can't take any credit for all that he's achieved, because he just lets him do his own thing. I can see the argument for Monarch of Egypt getting closer to him today, because he hadn't run since he won his own maiden at Naas before the Railway Stakes. And while he wasn't weak in the market, he wasn't really strong in the market either. Like Siskin, I suppose Siskin was so strong against him. So you could understand that Monarch of Egypt can be expected to progress from that run and maybe get closer to him than he did. But look, if the ground was fast, you just think, or even good, Siskin would be an odds-on favourite and deserve to be so. Just with, there is rain forecast during the day, and a fair bit of it, so that's a bit of a worry. It's just an unknown. You know, you'd hope that he can handle it, but maybe he won't be as effective on soft ground as he is on fast ground. And Royal Lytham, you mentioned, he was gutsy in winning the July Stakes last time. I suppose you'd probably have wanted the race to work out a wee bit better. Like Platinum Star was disappointing in the Vintage Stakes, wasn't next time, and Visionary the same. Gilsman was disappointing in the Richmond Stakes. So you would have liked maybe the July Stakes to work out a wee bit better. So Royal Lytham's probably going to have to step up again on that to get close to the top 2, I think.
It's interesting you mentioned about the July Stakes form now suddenly not looking all that, and yet going into the Vintage, Sam, I think everyone was saying the July Stakes was the best bit of 2-year-old form we've seen, and then Pinatubo happened.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that July Stakes has worked out worse than a Moeen Ali bowling spell, hasn't it? I mean, it
what is
looked
that?
a good race on paper. It looked a good race on paper, and then, you know, there's 2-3 lengths covered, about 6 of them. I mean, Gilsman didn't help his cause at Goodwood by rearing at the start, but even then, you know, Visionary, obviously the ground went against him at Goodwood, and he didn't run much of a race. So it has left a few question marks, really. But the thing that I would like about Royal Lytham, at least he's battle hardened. He should cope with the ground okay. If it becomes a test of stamina, then he should be well suited by that as well if you do have a lot of rain. I mean, I had a little text message from Tipperary. I know that's nowhere near the Curragh, Donn, but it was absolutely lagging down. And obviously you're going to tell me you've had plenty of rain probably, not too far away.
Yeah, I'm just south of Dublin, and we haven't had much. We had a lot of rain overnight here. I don't know what happened at the Curragh, but there is that, you know, looking at the charts, there is rain forecast throughout the day. So yeah, I'd say ground definitely on the easy side, and maybe even a wee bit softer than that.
Sorry, Tom. My only problem with Siskin is he's had a couple of races. He hasn't done anything on the figures yet. Now, that's not a stick to beat him with, because he hasn't been required to do much on the figures yet. As Ger Lyon says, he just does what he wants. It's a song, isn't it? He does what he wants. But he gets the job done. Very professional. Travels well. Looks to have a little bit of a fast ground action, if I'm being brutal about it. But he's got to step forward again here. And we see how these O'Brien horses, sometimes you think that you've reached the plateau of where they can go, and then they just go again. So I'm not sure I'd want to be betting him at odds on. I've yet to be totally convinced, unlike Donn.
I'm going to pick up on that point if I can, whilst I've got that song firmly in my head now. Siskin's 1.93, Monarch of Egypt 2.4, just as those two against each other. Now, if you look back in history, the last 10 years of the race, Aidan O'Brien has won it 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Kevin Prendergast, David Watchman, Martin Mead, the other Martin Mead, of course, last year when he won it with advertised his favourite in the race. But that sort of bucked a trend of Aidan O'Brien winning it, but he's only won it in that time with 2 favourites. You've got a history of non-Aidan O'Brien horses going off favourite for the race. The likes of Cool Company, the likes of Strong Suit, Buratino, Gordon's horse a couple of years ago, was it Beckford, getting beaten in the race, having gone off favourite. And Aidan just getting his horses to peak for it. Sioux Nation wasn't favourite, Air Force Blue wasn't favourite, Dick Whittington, Pedro the Great, Zoffany. And I'm much happier based upon, I know we can't cling to trends, but there clearly is something about this race where Aidan gets them to peak for it, and there is often a horse that's come to hand from a different yard sooner that goes off at the head of the market and perhaps gets beaten. And for that reason, to be honest, I probably wouldn't back Monarch of Egypt. I'd probably just lay Siskin, and I'm happy to do that at this current price, just because I'm quite taken with Royal Lytham as well. But I think if I was going to back one, Monarch of Egypt would be it. But at his price, I'd be against Siskin, for all it been lovely for Ger to have and he clearly is a great horse and a Group 1 winner. If he could do it, but I'd be against personally, given all those things I've said. Anything to add, chaps?
Yeah, no, I won't be backing him, Tom, because of the ground, and I don't think to bet odds on any of it, but I do think he deserves to be favourite, because the ground is it's an unknown for all of them, really. Like, none of them are really proven on ground. And Fuji disappointed on soft ground at Ascot. Monarch of Egypt, he's American bred by American Pharaoh. You wonder, it's fast ground a thing for him. Royal Lytham was fast ground at Newmarket when he put up the best performance of his career. So it's a bit of an unknown for all of them. But I suppose the soft ground, because it is an imponderable, you don't want to be taking short prices about horses. But as you said, it'd be brilliant for Ger Lyons and Colin Keane to go and win a Group 1 race. I mean, the horse, he's progressive enough, and he's done enough to merit. If he won a Group 1 race, he wouldn't begrudge him it. And likewise, Ger Lyons, he's a Group 1 race would be great for Ger now.
Talking of Phoenix Stakes, there's a Phoenix Sprint Stakes as well. Now, that's over 6 furlongs, a 7.25. It's a Group 3 contest. I mentioned Beckford already. He heads the betting currently, 4.0. What do you make of that, Donn? Do you have a play in the race or anything that grabs your eye in that a little bit later on the Curragh card?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a really good race. It's a pity they're both called the Phoenix Stakes, because one's the Phoenix Sprint Stakes. It does get a little bit, you have to point out we're talking about the Group 3 race for older horses now as opposed to the Group 1 for juveniles. But again, the ground, Tom, I mean, you mentioned Beckford. He is proven on soft ground. He ran a big race in the National Stakes 2 years ago when he was a 2-year-old, his first spell with Gordon Elliott, and he was only just beaten by Verbal Dexterity. That was over 7. I think he was probably outstayed maybe more than outgrounded on the day. So the 7th furlong maybe caught him out on the ground. He's been in America. He's back now. He ran a really good race last time behind the Speaking Colours. He only finished 5th in the end, but it kind of got messy late on that day, and he was kind of probably one of the main sufferers. He didn't have a lot of room. He wasn't hampered or squeezed out, or Colin Keane didn't have to snatch up very quickly, but he just didn't have racing room through the final maybe 200 yards, and he got close to Speaking Colours, who I thought enhanced the form since he was a little bit unlucky himself with Goodwood last time. So I'm kind of surprised to see him favoured. I thought Serval and Jessica Harrington's filly, she was very good the last day in winning a listed race at Naas. she didn't have an awful lot of room on the far side, and Shane Foley had to wait for the gap to develop. And when it did, it looked like she was going to be an unlucky loser. But when the gap developed, she burst through and she finished off her race really well. Now, she only had a short head in hand of Woody Creek, and she's a bigger price than Servalan is. But I think that was Servalan could come on for that. She probably should have won by more. If she'd got a better run through the race, she may have won by more. And it was a first run since May. So there's a lot to like about her. And Buffer Zone as well, another horse of Ger Lyons, he was very good at the Curragh on Irish Derby weekend. He in 20 minutes pulled clear, and he was beaten in a handicap last time, and it was only just beaten by Verhoeven, who had the run of the race. He has to step up on ratings a little bit, but not that much to get up. Like Beckford's rated 105, and he's given away he's given away the weight for age allowance. Buffer Zone, he's rated 99, so he's got a little bit to find Beckford on strict ratings. And if you factor in the fact that Beckford should come on for that run, or should do better than he did that run with a better run through the race, then you can see why Beckford's a short price. But again, the ground, like I was kind of looking at Servalan as maybe the value of the race, but the ground just again, it's an imponderable that makes it more difficult.
Yeah, we've got a lot. I mean, we're going to have a lot of that wherever we are going into the weekend, because there could be a lot of bad ground about. Beckford 4.0, Servalan, you mentioned 5.0, and Buffer Zone, a fair few points bigger, around about 8.0. That's the Group 3 Phoenix Sprint Stakes, the race after the Phoenix Stakes, the Group 1. Anything else for Friday, Sam? You've got going around the ground. I'm out for Friday. I'm going to weigh in heavier on Saturday afternoon's action. Anything else for Friday?
Well, obviously, there's going to be a massive change in ground conditions at Haydock. That band of rain just looks like it's going all across the northwest. It's going to be horrific conditions up there, and that'll suit Agrapart in the staying handicap, the 2 mile race. I would imagine that he'd go close. The second favourite of David Menissier, Nuit Saint George, is also entered in Newmarket tomorrow, so I don't know whether he'd take his chance or not, but he wouldn't mind the ground either. So it could be a good duel between the two of those if the meeting is still going by 7:50 and there hasn't been an apocalypse by then. I'd imagine there'd be a fair few non-runners through that card as well, so it might just be worth keeping an eye on Agrapart in the 7:50. And good old Paula Victoire at Brighton in the 4 o'clock. He's a horse that's won that Harry Bloom Memorial Brighton Bullet before now. Like with a lot of Tony Carroll's horses, they just seem to improve the stone when they get a bit of sea air inside their lungs. And I thought each way for him, 5-1, dropping back to 6 after running earlier on this week over the mile to race he's won before. He goes very well at Brighton. He doesn't mind what ground it is either. So I'll probably back him each way at 5-1 for the Victoire.
Love that. And you went full weatherman there with the band of rain bit in the right hand.
Yeah. Did you like the? Yeah.
We'll get the sort of post edit the graphics team to put in. We'll sort that out. I liked it.
Would that be great? Not quite as glamorous as Lucy Verasamy, though. Eh?
Oh, not quite.
Might be more accurate though.
You got a bit of Schaffenecker about you, maybe.
I wouldn't mind being. He's only about 5 foot, isn't he?
Well, I'm not saying that sounds more the well kept look. Anyway, right. That's it for the Friday. That's it for the
Friday forecast.
Sam's going to be back for the Saturday one, I hope. That's coming up after this, the Saturday Racing podcast. But as far as Friday goes, essentially nobody's backing Siskin. I'm against him, and so maybe something at a bigger price than that for the main race, the Phoenix Stakes. Saturday's coming up after this. Bye for now.